Hi, Tommaso. Thanks so much for agreeing to participate in this interview today. How are you?
Fantastic, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I was wanting to talk about the topic of sustainability and how there's an increase of small sustainable actions we as individuals can make. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, there's definitely something that we can, all do to make the planet a little bit greener.
Yeah, what are some of the things you do?
Well, I switched to in green energy investing super. I switched off. I just use roll-on deodorant now. Use a green energy supplier. They do take energy which has been used, made by coal, but then they reinvest green and the same amount of green energy back into the grid, so it evens out.
Yeah.
And just small things like that. We have a compost bin now, although that wasn't my doing, it was my housemate. Still, I'm using it.
Very nice. Sounds like you're going pretty well. I feel like so many people do less.
Maybe very well be true, but even with what I'm doing, not only could I be doing more, but even if I did, I still wouldn't be doing enough.
Oh yeah, did you want to expand on that?
Well, as individuals, there's only so much you can do, really, because the vast majority of carbon emissions are created by, energy suppliers overall, but not only for home use, but also just in stores and with whatever the government does in all its departments, and also every product that you make, if you eat beef and everything like that. I also have to eat a lot of meat because I have IBS, so that's also something that is I'm doing negatively for the environment. But
it's hard to stay motivated when you feel like your individual actions don't really account for much compared to big businesses.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It is definitely hard to stay motivated.
Do you think it's highly influenced by the legality of everything?
Well, it's not so much legality in the sense that it's illegal to go green for a business or a person, but it's just that there's not really any, especially financial incentive for businesses to do so. Even if you get more millennials on your side by going green, at the end of the day, with the amount of stimulus packages and amount of money that the fossil fuel industry gets for free, especially by the Australian government, but by governments around the world, it's absurd. They literally get more money than renewable energy, and then oh well, renewable energy is still less profitable. Well, obviously, if you just give that industry free money, it's going to make more money than the industry with less free money. So it's going to be cheaper, the electricity from there, and so or whatever, not just electricity, even if we're talking about cattle, free range, obviously much more expensive to maintain, and anything like that. So
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could kind of tie this into politics. Where's your stance on that?
Well, I mean, I definitely think that the politicians in general, especially in Australia, have not done enough to promote green energy and just sustainability in general. So I think it's been left pretty much up to businesses to regulate themselves, which is generally not a good practice when it comes to this kind of thing, I feel.
Right. So I would maybe argue that as our generation is growing up, we have more of an influence. So our generation tends to be a little bit more focused on sustainability as it's our future growing up. So I would say that as we're growing older, we're having more of an influence over political impact. At the moment, we're boycotting businesses and wanting more sustainable actions by our government. Do you think that we have the potential to increase our individual impact by this?
Maybe not the individual impact, but we could definitely impact the impact, essentially. I think our individual impact will stay approximately the same, but what we'll do is that all the brands and even hopefully the government industries themselves will become greener if they see that the popular opinion is swinging that way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like I've seen an impact on business practices in line with our new preferences as consumers. So, for example, lots of new campaigns for companies have been on a sustainable way. They have sustainability goals within their annual reports, within their regular websites, even as simple as cafes encouraging keep cups.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah, I've definitely seen like even like some clothing stores, you know, there's a lot more clothing store now advertising like organic materials and everything like that. So, and like
yeah,
going like carbon neutral. So that's true. There definitely has been an impact.
true. I just hope it happens fast enough, I guess. So that's the business side of things. What about politics? I know that you in the future would like to one day join Parliament for other reasons, but since this is a very pressing issue, what are your thoughts about what could be implemented right now, if you could?
Definitely. Well, definitely. Like, so I do want to join Parliament in the future, but hopefully by that time, this problem will be solved, or we're kind of bit in a rut. But right now, there's always something we can do. You know, like obviously now with COVID, it's a bit difficult. You can't join like big marches or anything. But as soon as that's over, I will definitely be going back. And I assume there will be like I think I can feel like there's a bit of fervor fermenting among young people because we haven't been able to go and complain about anything essentially. I feel like big companies were kind of using COVID as a way to get away. We're doing like, I mean, there's a few coal mines opening up in Queensland. Everything's been pretty on the quiet. And I think it's just simply because how do you make noise when you're not allowed to congregate in public? But I think this kind of rough situation is going to start creating some much stronger online groups where it will replace marches with, I don't know, some kind of live stream maybe. Yeah, yeah, the hacking. We'll all turn into hackers and hack into the government and tell them to stop opening coal mines. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I'd like to see that happen.
Yeah, that would be great.
Man, so interestingly, what are your thoughts about our generation as a whole? Do you think they have similar like preference towards what's the word for it? Preference towards protesting, sustainability. Like I know that we've seen it in previous generations as well, so it's not something new. But like, is it something that we still should be doing?
Definitely something that we should still be doing. I definitely don't think that we do it enough in our generations, and I think the simple reason is because things are just too good. People generally don't tend to go and protest that much unless things are quite bad. Like, you know, in the 60s, there were so many social issues and like that was extremely severe. Whereas nowadays, I mean, they're coming back and maybe we'll start protesting more. And definitely we've seen a resurgence. But I feel like the governments of the world and corporations have started taking a lot of our rights away slowly over the last 30, 40 years because we've stopped protesting, because things are good enough that, you know, everyone's got food on their plates pretty much, especially in Australia. People have a home, they have good enough social rights, and so they just let it slide. But if things get bad enough, especially with climate change, where it's such a thing like that, it's, you know, it's literally the death of humanity, or at least, you know, bringing us back into a dark age, then in that case, hopefully we'll see a return to this kind of protesting culture, which only ever leads to good things. I mean, if you look at the increase in the standard of living after the 1960s, it's huge.
Well, thanks so much. I really value your opinion. It was some really nice insights to hear. But I think that just about wraps up our interview. So I'm really interested to see the growth of our generations from small individual sustainable actions to the goals of political action that we're all hoping to strive for. So did you have any final questions before I finish this interview?
Oh, no, not really. I just wanted to thank you very much for having me on. And yeah, have a lovely day.
Thanks, you too.